somewhere, we would need to know that so we can make whatever adjustments necessary.
Okay, what amount are you talking about again?
In the past, we had budgeted $1,100. This year, we had not budgeted any. So,
Have we used any of it in the past?
no, that's why we have renewed it.
I take exception to that. The North Carolina Zoning Association had a 2 or 3 day workshop 3 or 4 years ago when I was first on council, and it was absolutely wonderful. And one of the members attended for lunch and left, and one of the other alternates came for a day and maybe part of another one, but they didn't go, but it was wonderful.
It was a number of years ago is what I meant.
Yeah, it was like 2005, but I don't think they did that every year, but if that's available, it's a wonderful training tool.
Is that the zoning board who attended or board of adjustment?
It was the zoning association, but part of the agenda was board of adjustment training. Yeah.
What I thought we would do is, our council will just sort of do an opening discussion or whatever, and if at the end we wish to, because there had also been concern expressed about the history community signs, and now we've got this 1,100, and we just sort of wrap it all up into whatever discussion we need to have.
I just want to make sure that was right.
I want to ask that question again. Do we not have mandatory education requirements for board of adjustment members?
We don't have mandatory education requirements. We do try to do training with in-house attorneys on a basis, usually about 3 or 4 months. But this would be for training to bring someone in, that's has experience litigating and or from or something of that sort, or to send them to a conference or a presentation.
So would these members be required to attend?
That would be your fault. That would be your, it's not required now.
Legally, no.
You cannot.
Oh, you can require,
Okay.
but are they legally obligated? No. To expand on what Michael said, thank you, about roughly a year and a half ago, because the Board of Adjustment didn't have a lot of cases to hear, Blair Carr and I began doing training. In the case, what we did and have been doing is starting with the types of cases they would hear. We just did a base level training, so to speak, and then would take a real life case and break it down into the facts and then have them deliberate. So they did have a case. And we've done that 3 or 4 times every year since then. Our firm does litigate cases that come out of Board of Adjustment decisions. Some of them have been from cases we have handled with the commission of the client, and others have been reported decisions. But we now have a whole bank of them, so to speak.
So they've already been trained, even without this.
Right, this is a different level of
Okay.
training.
Well, Michael, I remember in the past when we were doing board of adjustment as council members, there was training that was offered by either the county or some of the other people, Rich Strucker or whoever that came in and did those. Are they still doing those, or are those just in a Taylor kind of thing?
There was a time when Guilford County did hold some multi-jurisdictional training efforts where they would bring in, I think it was Rich Ducker, that would come in and do it to all the BOAs in the county at the same time, but they have not done that in years. It's not that it's not available necessarily, it's just we'd have to make those contacts.
So we would have to just do one, if we want to initiate one, we can offer it to the other people in the county if they want to do it again. But you don't have any idea how much that might cost?
Generally speaking, the Institute of Government is typically inexpensive if it's a one-night type event. Usually it's just the travel expenses and dinner or something like that for the presenter. It's typically what they've done, at least in the past. Now they may be different.
So it might be that we could initiate something and offer it to other people if they wanted to attend.
It could be a low-cost effort.
So the question is whether we want to put money in the budget for this,
Right.
and how much.
Well, does low cost mean 600? Just take half that, or?
If you say travel expenses and
Yeah, I mean, I would think that 600, for something of that sort, then I would think that probably 600 would be more than fair to cover those type of expenses. If it was something more than that, we can always come back and make a request. If it would be something more in detail or an opportunity to go to a conference that they should interest in.
How many members in this?
There are 5 members and 2 alternates, I believe.
Do you think they need it?
I think they need training when it's available. It's not that I have any problem with the training they're getting, but it always helps to have more when it comes up, especially since we are considering having them do different cases than they do now. They're definitely need training on the other quasi-judicial types of hearings that they may be hearing based on decisions made in the future development rights.
So do we want to put $600 in the budget for training for the Board of Adjustments? Becky?
I made my, comments known last time, yeah.
How about per diem and travel? We have 500 in the budget for per diem and travel in the current year. So do we want to put back to 1,100 or? We had 600 for education and 500 for education, for travel per diem.
Is that the Board of Adjustment?
That was Board of Adjustment.
Oh, okay.
That's what we had in the current budget, which I think was a reduction from the previous budget, potentially, because it wasn't used then.
So we want to make it $1,100 for training plus per diem travel expense.
And that's what I'm asking, if you want it.
Yeah.
Let's do it. We're not using it. Let's really just take that one.
Kind of what we did this year.
Okay. Any council comments?
I have since we had such an entertaining evening, and I'm sorry I can't sing this question. I will if you want me to. I don't quite understand what we're doing here with this theater thing. It's my understanding that it's $4,000 from the town and the rest from a grant. And if the grant is not received, the $4,000 comes out of the budget, or does the Parks and Recreation Department expect us to fund the whole entire department?
It's my understanding of what the budget indicates is that we would not fund it if it was not grant support.
Okay.
Let me clarify, I think what you're asking, Parks and Rec had $8,000 in the budget. And if the grant was received, 4,000 of that would be covered by the grant, but they've asked for 8,000. Now the budget that's been presented to you is reduced by 3,000, so there's 5,000 in there for drama. So I think
I thought we start, every time I look at this, the figure changes. We started out with 3,000, then it was 4,000, now it's 5,000?
well, the 8,000 included the drama programs they were going to put on and the touring. 4,000 was touring, 4,000 was for the programs, correct? And the 4,000 for the touring would get covered by the grant if the grant was received. But Parks and Rec asked for 8,000 total, regardless of the grant, they asked for 8,000. If we got the grant, then 4,000 of that 8 would be covered by the grant. We have presented the budget disregarding the grant because we don't know. So in terms of their $8,000 request, only 5,000 remains in the grant currently. And I'm getting a nod that I'm saying that correctly.
Well,
that's what we're
changing.
5,000 is what is presented to you in the budget now. That's your call whether you go back to the 8 they have asked for, go higher or go lower than the 5 that we've put in there.
But the 5 you put in there does not include the 4,000, or it does not include the.
It does not put 3,000, which would make the 8 that they've asked for, 4 for the programs and 4 for the touring.
And if they don't get the grant, they don't get anything, is that right?
No, we still have 5,000 in the budget for drama.
Okay, I recall, stop me if I'm wrong, I recall the